Was it just me, or did it seem like Asta was getting ready to go Bankai at the end of chapter 207 of Black Clover? I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yo! I mean, it's already been evident since the beginning of Black Clover. Since the beginning, it's been very apparent that Black Clover has had many inspirations. Of course, the Naruto, fairy tale, so many different things, but one of the things people really don't bring up much is the Bleach inspiration. I mean, the way the captains are set up, we've had panels that look like straight up Bleach panels, Asta dual wielding. There's a lot of, and I'm not saying that Bleach was the first to do any of those things, but it just felt very Bleach inspired at the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie, it seems like once again, the Bleach inspiration from Yuki Tabata is manifesting to create whatever's coming with Black Clover and Asta's transformation. But there's so many different things to talk about, more hints at Asta and Yuno's parents, and a lot of stuff, so let's jump into it.
Whether Facebook, Twitter, or the True, make sure to steer clear, cause I'm coming through like...
So let's start off the top of the chapter, and kind of going back to my review from last week, where I talked about, it kind of seemed as though it was a cheat code and yada yada regarding Asta being able to take out the devil, so to speak, because it seemed as though at the end of last week's chapter that, like, yo, he was about to body him. I'm very glad I was wrong, and I'm glad to say when, you know, I'm wrong, I'm glad to say that I was wrong, and that it looked like the devil, even though Asta, yes, he has an advantage, the fact that he didn't disintegrate when they clashed there, but the devil started using like the gates of Babylon and was about to slaughter him, and it wasn't until Licht and the first Wizard King, Lumiere, and everybody else jumped in to save Asta that, you know, I was like, okay, I calmed down a little bit from last week, and I know, you know, sometimes you gotta admit when you're going in, but I gotta do what I gotta do, because at the end of the day, if I don't critique it to the best of my abilities, then what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? So I still stand at the time. That was what my mindset was. But I'm glad, again, I was wrong, because Asta, despite him really trying last week's chapter, he didn't put an end to the devil, and the devil was still going ham. And again, a lot of interesting references from other series in this chapter. Like, I don't know, right now, Black Clover, it's taking, again, everything and then just twisting it into some wild shit, to say the least. Now, one big thing to start off, because there was quite a few different things that you could take from this chapter, but one of the big things is when Yuno is staring at Licht, not Patri, Licht, and he's seeing Licht kind of going in and just seeing his magic and stuff like that. He made a comment that his mana, or his magic, or whatever you want to call it, felt very warm and nostalgic. And I feel as though, again, that's hinting even further and further that the twist with Black Clover, opposed to, like, you know, everybody was like, oh, he's copying off Naruto, and again, it is what it is. We always got to bring this up because it's one of the big things that the fandom always talks about. You know, it would have been a copy if the first Wizard King, Lumiere, was Asta's father, or Asta and Yuno's father. It would have been like, seeing that, wow, whatever. But the fact that now it's hinting even further that it's Licht and possibly a first Wizard King's sister, that is the true parents to, at the very least, Yuno, but I'm imagining Asta and Yuno. I think that was hinted even more with what Yuno said. Why would it feel nostalgic and warm? He doesn't know this guy. I mean, unless he felt nostalgic and warm with William Vengeance's mana, maybe it's similar to that. I'm not sure, but again, he's using light stuff, and William Vengeance wasn't he like with tree stuff? So again, it's more than likely hinting that Licht is somehow related to Yuno and Asta as well, because I'm still sticking with it. It's clear to say that they're brothers. They're probably twin brothers, but fraternal, not you know, identical. So if that was the case, again, this chapter pushed it even more, because him saying that, again, what would be, you know, nostalgia? What is nostalgia? Is warm or fond memories, and he says even his magic feels just really warm and stuff like that. We're seeing it clear as day, which, again, it would be a great twist. I mean, I'm seeing it because there's only so many twists you can do, but it's still better than copying things that were done before. It's like you could use the idea as a starter pack, so to speak, but you got to go off on your own, and that's where it seems to be headed, and I really hope we get these answers, which it's showing that Black Clover needs to make a big change and a big impact here soon, at the very least here soon, because it's done a lot of the major plot points that were set up in the beginning of the series. I mean, again, going back to like Asta and Yuno's parents, them being, you know, set on that doorstep at the orphanage when they were younger and stuff like that. Now where we're answering a lot of these questions, and if that gets answered too, then how much more can you really do? It seems as though Black Clover is a very fast-paced take on a lot of the tropes we've seen before. Again, we're only 207 chapters in, and we're doing things that took other series a lot longer. Granted, it made us bond more with those series, and it gave a lot more context and substance, but nevertheless, we're here. And then, of course, we got the never-ending help from Nero, aka Sekre, which a few chapter reviews back, I confused the name, but yeah, that's her real name, and Nero, I guess, is her given name or something like that from people as her in her bird form or whatever. But point being, I'm seeing again, just like people don't give Nero enough credit. They don't, because in the fight right now, you know, we've seen in the flashback, okay, we saw in the flashback, and I pointed it out, she helped a lot against the battle that we've seen, you know, promoted throughout the whole series of that big monster that turned out to be Licht, you know, so we see that. Then again, right now in this battle, she is healing the first Wizard King. Now granted, the devil said that it was good for him as well, so I don't know if he's just replicating her magic and he's referring to when he's been healing all this time, or if he was talking about that right now her healing him somehow healed him. I'm not sure. Again, sometimes Black Clover does get a little bit confusing with little things like that, but I'm pretty sure he's referring to the fact that he copied her magic just like he's using anyone and everything, you know what I mean? Like, and of course we have stuff that is typical shonen things, you know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of it anymore. I loved it for like a decade, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of it, and this is where I got to critique it, where it was typical of Nero is there, and he's like, hey, you look familiar, Asta, and, you know, he can't put his finger on who that is when, you know, it's Nero, but, I mean, it's understandable. It's not every day that a freaking bird turns into a human being, but it still feels like with all the fantastical stuff in Black Clover, you can, in that world, have the mindset to expect the unexpected. So with that being said, you would think Asta would be able to put two and two together real quick with all the crazy stuff, but, or at the very least have some type of hint of like, hey, I've seen a lot of people and friends and stuff like that in the Black Bulls kind of have transformations and stuff like that. Maybe it could be the same thing, but of course he's very dense, and I just love Nero. I love the fact that Asta is that dude that have all these chicks, and there's a lot of things that you can infer from this chapter as well, because now if you really look at it, right, there's been a pattern with the Wizard Kings that we've seen thus far. The first Wizard King, Lumiere, he's very righteous. We get the flashback where he's like just so excited and impressed with everyone's magic, despite him being proclaimed to be a protege, and that he's just incredible. He's a prodigy. His magic is fantastical, but he really loved other people's magic and showed appreciation, just like with Nero. And then that reminds me of Julius and how many times we've seen him be the same way. That's how he made friends with Yami, a lot of different people. So if we're going through that pattern, then despite the fact that there's always going to be that oh, okay, Asta's going to be the Wizard King, there's no questions asked type of thing. But again, it pushes even more when you see those people, and you see time and time again in this chapter as well, Asta's, you know, impressed like never before with Nero's healing ability, that Asta fits the script. Again, it's more and more pointing that Asta's going to be the Wizard King, and Yuno's going to be the king, you know, that fake king, so to speak, that we have there. That way, it's kind of a compromise that they both become some type of king. I think Yuno's going to realize along the way that it has to be Asta. He has the favor of the people, and maybe somewhere along the way Yuno's going to do something to look bad and play that role of the shitty king again, or just be a figurehead or something along the lines of that. But it is really interesting to see that, again, it's pushing for, yeah, Asta's going to be the Wizard King. Who would have thought, unless we have a really big plot twist and it's vice versa, and Yuno becomes the Wizard King. But again, it could be that, hey, we're breaking the mold. You never know. That would be interesting at the very. I honestly, I don't know how I'd feel. I know a lot of people, and I guess I'll throw the question to you guys. How would you feel if Asta did not become the Wizard King and Yuno did, and Asta became like the fake king, or he didn't become anything at all, but he serves kind of like reversing the roles of Naruto and Sasuke in a way, with Naruto being the helper that goes through the fields and does shit while Sasuke sat in the office, something like that. I'd take it, although it again doesn't seem like it's going that way. And this chapter also reinforces, again, something that we already know, that the devil is on some other level, because he's like, yo, all of y'all magic is like parlor tricks. It's nothing to me. Y'all a bunch of boo-boo when it comes to my magic, you know what I'm saying? So again, pushing forth that the devil is kind of OP at the very least, and there's more to it. It's not even just that, because we finally see the true Licht go into action using what feels like swords of revealing light on some other level, and blasts the devil away. I'll be honest with you, the way his revival was explained, but it being his heart, it reminded me really, it was very Cellish. And what I mean by Cellish, it was, I believe after Gohan defeated Cell, no, I'm sorry. It was after Goku blew himself up to stop Cell, and he regenerated, and we get the flashback of how when his nucleus is still intact, he'll survive all the time and he'll be able to regenerate. We've seen in this one the Devil's Heart survived that gigantic blast from Lit, and that's how he revived. So the trick to more than likely defeating the devil is you got to get his heart, which he's getting jumped. I honestly think if it was the devil versus like maybe even a quarter of these people or half these people, it wouldn't be much. But you got to think there's Licht, the first Wizard King. They're double teaming him. You got Asta, you have a lot of people jumping him. So, and that was something that one of my followers pointed out on Twitter, by the way. Shout out to you. That yeah, it's going to look a little bit crazy when the devil, the main villain, is there and he's getting hit up, but you got to think he's getting jumped by some of the most strongest good guys in the world. They're jumping him. How is he going to win when he's outmanned? Although, to be honest with you, when Lit used that sword technique, it kind of reminded me even of like Trunks' sword technique at the end of the Zamasu Future or Goku Black arc, when Trunks used that Genki Dama sword. That's kind of what it felt like, except mixed with swords of revealing light. And Lit, honestly, he's living up to a lot of the expectations. It's cool, again, the twist that we got, seeing him at the very least having one final moment to be able to team up with his friend, the first Wizard King Lumiere. That's pretty dope too. It's giving a lot of redemption to characters in this one. It was cool also to see a little bit of a flash to how strong Lit really is, that everyone around in this fight is feeling his magic. We got Yami and Charlotte, they feeling it. You got Mario Leona, she's feeling it. Everybody's just feeling it. That's how strong it is, which should be, which again is giving even more further, just everything that was set up is coming to fruition regarding how amazing Lit really is, whatever you want to say. And then the end of the chapter, which was probably the most interesting thing. Well, again, there's so many different things, and we had the knowledge of, even further pushing that Lit and them are somehow connected, but getting the character development for Asta, realizing what Lit did and realizing that he's essentially the yang to the yin that Lit is. If he has pure light magic and it seems as though he has no magic at all, he could try that technique. It's a bit of a jump. I think it would have been cool if somebody showed him in a more like a training fashion, but then maybe this is the way manga is nowadays. Maybe those days of getting all of that context, which I do prefer, is out the window because we were going through it. So like seeing a legendary wizard do it once, a rookie like Asta's doing it. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm really, really freaking hyped to see that transformation, because so far how awesome Asta's looked in that technique, the halfway using the black power, it's looked incredible. Imagine what he's gonna look like when he's possibly full-blown using what, again, it feels like a Bankai, baby. I ain't gonna hate on it, which the Bankais in Bleach, always an awesome thing in Bleach. And it looks like Asta is going, I'm potentially going to imagine he's either going to have maybe like a stand of like the devil behind him. Maybe the black that's on the side of his face will disappear and he'll have like a big stand, or he'll become, I've seen like a fan art of like Luffy where he's using a supposed gear fifth and he's with ornament hockey all over him. Maybe Asta will be covered with the black power and he'll be like 10 times stronger. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to handle it, because again, Lit is using this. Lit is a legendary freaking wizard. He's had a lot of training, many years. He's the creme de la creme. So Asta using it is probably going to have a big, and I'm imagining it should have a very negative effect on him, which again, maybe we're leading toward a time skip. We're answering so many different questions in Black Clover, and we're heading towards even more answers. So right now where it stands, oh man, this chapter of Black Clover, I ain't gonna lie, it was freaking hype. Curious what you guys think though. Big theory, what do you guys think is Asta's new transformation going to be like now that he's kind of getting an understanding of what his true power really is? Maybe it could be something more to do with what he learned from Yami with the ki. Maybe he's going to use the swords and figure out something more with ki, or again, it's going to, do you think it's going to like go all over him? Like, I don't know how to explain it. It sounds weird, but how do you think his new transformation is going to look like? Also, what do you think is going to happen with the devil? I mean, this is one tough motherfucker, okay? Like, he's reminding me of like Cell. There's so many different things that it's reminding me of, but hey, if Black Clover is a nostalgia trip mixed with new twists and turns, I'll take it. And do you think that Yuno was essentially hinting that Lit is Asta and Yuno's, or at the very least Yuno's father or relative, based on him saying how familiar and nostalgic that mana feels? Or is it because he was around at that time? Maybe there's a whole big twist, and that's that Asta and Yuno are from that time period, and that's why he feels that magic. Maybe they're reincarnations, or they were sent to the future, some crazy time travel arc maybe we're gonna go into. Who knows? And your overall thoughts and expectations. Again, I gotta keep saying it almost every week. Either Black Clover's ending real soon, or we're headed towards something huge, incredible. Maybe Asta awakening his new power is going to bring in a whole new threat, maybe similar to like the 7 deadly sins with fighting against the 10 commandments, maybe something like that. It'll introduce more of the demons. Maybe the devil was just the start of all of this. Again, I don't know. Either Black Clover is about to change and have a whole new army threat, so to speak, or we're going into a time skip, or we're going to just end this, or we're going to maybe have a combination of the big threat and the time skip. That'd be freaking crazy. I want to see Yuno looking old. I ain't gonna lie. I think he would look so badass having like long hair. And Asta, well, they're not going to change Asta too much. You know how they do mascot stuff. And your overall thoughts and expectations again, Black Clover, baby. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. People be hating. People say like, yo, how can you say Black Clover's like hype every week? Nah, you must be bullshitting. But yo, it's been months upon months upon months of just nonstop great chapters leading toward a climax. I'll say there's a couple of issues. I'll say that it does feel as though this arc is going on a lot longer than I expected. Is it starting to head toward dragging just a bit? I hope within the next like maybe 3 chapters we start wrapping things up with this fight against the devil, especially with Asta's new power. Usually when the main character of a shonen activates a full transformation of some sort, this arc is about to end, and maybe Asta will go on a rampage using his devil power, destroy that devil's heart, and again bring in a new threat or something. But that's all I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Please hit the bell to get all notifications. You know how YouTube be, so it'd really help out if you get the notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm Forever World, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. Can't forget the music though. Hold on, let me play y'all a little something.
Make sure your next move is your best move. Feeling smarter, I guess less. But always remember, no matter the weather, I was October through to September. Whenever you needed, whatever you needed. Every girl hated